Southeastern Florida is just hours away from being ravaged by one of the most destructive hurricanes ever, Andrew. In Miami, WTV1-TV meteorologist Bryan Norcross is tracking the Category 5 hurricane.
I said to many people, take a look because this city may very well not look the same again ever.
In recent years, Florida has had many threats. But it's been nearly 3 decades since an intense hurricane has made a direct hit in the Miami area.
I don't think this hurricane is going to be as bad as they're drawing out to be.
Nobody in modern Miami, Fort Lauderdale had experience with what hurricanes could do here. There was nothing to base any experience on.
Throughout the moving process, Iki gets weather updates from WTVJ's Bryan Norcross.
Bryan said, wherever you are right now, walk outside and just quietly take a look at everything around you, because it will not look that way again for 30 or 40 years. And that was quite a startling statement.
By 6 p.m., Andrew is just 10 hours from shore and generating 150-mile-an-hour winds. Ron Magill is wrapping up his day supervising zookeepers as they tend to animals with special needs. A family of 3 Australian koalas, 9-year-old father Kablooey, 7-year-old mother Sydney, and 11-month-old Corinda are favorites at the zoo. They have their own house with much-needed air conditioning.
They're normally within an exhibit that is climate controlled. It's an environment necessary to maintain their good health. They can be very susceptible to humidity.
Grows a special food supply. Magill has done all he can for the animals at Metro Zoo. He heads home to wait for Andrew's arrival. He's worried that the stress of a hurricane could force his wife into premature labor.
I was able to do some of my best acting in convincing her that there's nothing to be worried about and she should just relax.
So I asked him, I said, so how many baby animals have you helped birth? And he goes, enough. And I said, okay, so this may be just one more, right? And he goes, yeah, okay.
The Magills go to bed, but at 2:30 a.m., they're awakened by their home's alarm system. The power has gone out. The couple can hear strong winds outside. Ron turns on a portable radio for news.
The only station we got was with Bryan Norcross on it, and he was talking about this is a big storm, folks, and it's coming right in.
You are going to experience this intense storm for a good while longer.
WTVJ-TV in Miami is being simulcast on radio.
It is not over. It is likely to get...
And Norcross is trying to ease the fears of thousands of frightened listeners.
Well, how long? We have a long time to go, okay?
I remembered him, just being very calm and just saying, we're going to write it out. Everybody will all be together. And it was, you just felt, you didn't feel alone.
For the next several hours, the Magills listen to the outer bands of Andrew. Then, just after 4 a.m., the full force of the hurricane strikes.
It really sounded like some supernatural monster was coming into the house and just kind of possessing the house. That's how haunting it was.
10 miles away at the Metro Zoo, Glenn Iki and 9 others are taking shelter in an interior room of the veterinary hospital. Iki has a video camera to record the hurricane's effect. He and his colleagues watch and listen as Andrew rips apart the building.
By the time the front doors were gone and the windows were gone and the roof was peeling off, it really started to get frightening.
Ferocious hurricane.
What went through the minds of the animals that evening, I'm sure it's a difficult experience.
Home. Ron's thoughts are running between his zoo family and his pregnant wife's condition. From inside their bedroom, Ron sees the sliding glass door in the atrium bend under the force of Andrew.
And I remember just thinking, that's going to blow at any time, and it's going to compromise the whole house. I mean, I was really frightened at the time, and I'm thinking to myself, please, God, let's just get through this. You know, if you can just get me through this, whatever I did bad, I'll make up for, I promise.
August 24th, 1992. It's 4:30 a.m. and Hurricane Andrew is cutting a deadly swath across South Florida. At Miami Metro Zoo, Glenn Eakey and 9 others have taken refuge in the veterinary hospital. The zoo employees wonder how the animals will survive.
You hear and
Holding pens at the zoo are enduring the force of the hurricane.
The enclosures that are constructed to contain the strength of an animal like a lion or a tiger was also able to sustain the strength of the hurricane.
While giving updates on the hurricane.
The absolutely most intense part of the storm right now is coming ashore at South Miami.
We could see on the radar, it was clear that the eye was approaching the land. When the gusts would come along, you could actually feel the building kind of lunge.
Then, without warning, the 150-mile-an-hour wind gusts die down. The Magills hear Norcross report that Andrew is leaving the Miami area, heading northwest.
The greatest news that I think we heard was Bryan Norcross saying, the storm is now through Miami-Dade. The worst is over.
And Ron said, let's go outside, you know, and see what's going on. And nothing could have prepared me for that. Nothing.
It was like the exact opposite of Dorothy when her house lands in Oz. It was in the color of my house, and I opened up to just this desolate, looked like war-torn, bomb-exploded, unrecognizable neighborhood.
And we were very lucky because our home was intact. I mean, our home was livable relative to a lot of our neighbors who had nothing. They had nothing.
Ron's thoughts turn immediately to Miami Metro Zoo.
Of course, my concern was the zoo. I got to go check and see what's going on.
While Rita stays home, Ron tries to maneuver toward the zoo. But his usual 13-minute drive becomes a 2-hour trip.
You got to drive over sidewalks, over people's lawns, because there were trees down, there were power lines down. And the further I got south towards the zoo, the worse it got.
Just outside the entrance, Magill encounters a bizarre sight.
As I'm approaching the zoo, one of those surreal images, a group of monkeys running down the street. And I'm looking at these monkeys, and I realize they're not our monkeys. They're not monkeys from the zoo.
Magill realizes they must be from the University of Miami Primate Research Facility. He gets his first look at the destruction.
And I'm thinking, this is unbelievable. You know, my first impression, again, is that the wind is so powerful, the devastation so catastrophic here, that either all the animals are out or they're all dead.
Magill is relieved to find most of the animals are safe, still in their cages. But 75% of Metro Zoo now lies in shambles. Hurricane-proof Asian bird exhibit is demolished. Many of the 300 exotic birds are dead.
It, I think, represented everything that was destructive about that storm. You saw
destruction.
Total shock. One of the many beautiful attributes of Miami Metro Zoo is that we sit in the middle of the largest undisturbed tract of pineland forest. They were essentially gone.
By afternoon, Eakey and Magill have learned that other than the birds, only 4 animals have perished in the hurricane. Part of the roof has been ripped off and there is no power. Kablooey, Sydney, and Corinda have no air conditioning. Even worse, Andrew has destroyed the koala family's precious food source, eucalyptus grown on site.